All right.
New
Well, on
stream.
that note, let's get started, everyone. Hello, and welcome to season 2, episode 4 of Star Trek Congo. If this is your first time joining us, hello and welcome. We are an actual play podcast that is using the Star Trek Adventures rule set. It's a good system. If you like Star Trek, you like role playing, definitely would recommend. But really, I don't have much in the way of announcements this week, so I think we're just going to go ahead and jump into character introductions, and then people are going to start throwing Q powers and bits and everything to interrupt my monologue. So thanks for that. Yeah, let's get character introductions out of the way, starting with the captain.
Hello, everyone. My name is Matthew. I play the intensely religious Bajoran captain, Lee Tobin.
Oh, and hello. My name is John. I play Jaro Terrell and ship's engineer. And if you haven't watched us before, where the hell have you been?
Fair point.
That's pretty good. Hard to follow that, but I'll try. Hey guys, I'm Aaron. I'm playing Lieutenant Commander Keeb Datig, the belligerent Tellarite First Officer with the heart of gold.
I'm
Nice.
Watney. I play Dr. Alel, the Chief Medical Officer of the Congo. She is Denobulan. Welcome.
And I am Dag. I am the Congo's tactical officer, Paul Fives Tate, former Borg and Augment. If you want to talk about it, hit me up on Twitter at TrekNexus.
And if you don't know me by now, I'm ELH the Game Master. And today, I believe our opening log is going to come from the first officer himself. So, Mr. Datig, please take it away.
First Officer's Log, Supplemental. Life aboard the Congo has been blessedly quiet in recent weeks. After some particularly strenuous missions, it would be nice to simply observe a benign spatial anomaly for a change. This phenomenon, which is no more than 2 astral units at its widest, isn't an immediate danger to anyone, but it is interesting in that the speed of light varies inside its perimeter. I'm going to order a full spectral analysis to determine if the fine structure constant is extant, or if the proton to electron mass ratio of the ambient particulate emissions is skewed within the rift. It might indicate whether or not the phenomenon itself is non-dimensional. Computer, schedule a status update with Lieutenant Hayder for 14:30 hours tomorrow. This type of study also allows the crew time to pursue the leisure activities that are so crucial to sustaining long-term deep space assignments. Seeing them at rest is a good opportunity to observe their mental and emotional states. I'm heartened, for instance, to observe a burgeoning friendship between Jaro and Fives. They both seem to be in a state of self-imposed isolation for different reasons, and that common ground may be the beginning of a way forward for both of them, as the men they were, or new ones. Captain Lee, as always, is an island unto himself. His isolation is of a different stripe. We've been working intensively on crew evaluations lately, and while he's never spoken of it directly, I know he misses his family deeply. To be pulled to the stars to explore, only to know that it takes you away from those you love the most. It is one of the reasons I have chosen a solitary existence. I have no need of a light-years-long emotional tether. That, and I've yet to find a prospective mate that meets my rigorous intellectual requirements. Meanwhile, Dr. Alel is running some truly impressive experiments. I find myself ambling by sickbay out of a desire to check on her progress rather than forgetfulness on my part. She's proven more than willing to discourse about her hypotheses, though lately she seems to be more interested in my thoughts on intercrew relationships. I wonder if that's related to the Denobulan socio-cultural custom of polygamy. I'll have to ask next time I see her. End log.
Very nice, and you may have one momentum for that lovely opening log. So today, we are actually going to start in the Congo's ready room, where Captain Lee, there's a chime at your door, and whenever you give the order to come in will step Ensign Jaro. And I believe you have your scene planned out already, so I'm just going to sit back and watch along with the rest of the audience.
Ensign, thank you for joining me. Would you please come in? Have a seat.
Oh, yes, of course, Captain. Hey, yeah, I did. Well, never mind. I've learned recently to not come forward with things that I've done wrong. Okay.
I'm not sure necessarily where you've gotten that idea, Ensign. If there's something that you'd like to disclose to me.
No. Just standard maintenance things.
That certainly doesn't
how are
sound
you
like
doing?
it.
How are you doing today, Captain?
I was much better before you walked in the door, Ensign. Could you please articulate the concerns that you have now? Because I'm probably more worried than I should be.
Actually, all we've been doing is messing a little bit with some harmonics, warp field harmonics, trying to figure out a way to potentially boost shield efficiencies. And we blew out a junction box, but that's already been taken care of.
I've already had this conversation with Dr. Allel, but although I don't wish to micromanage your department, if you're engaging in some kind of experimental procedure involving the warp antimatter intermix ratios, warp field dynamics and geometries, I would like to see a proposal before you begin making those kinds of alterations.
Oh, I thought I sent you a message, but maybe I didn't. Sorry. But everything's working better, and we actually ended up getting a 3% increase in shield efficiency.
Well, Jaro, it's functionally efficiency that I wanted to talk with you about. I've been having some conversations with Lieutenant Commander Dateg about your performance. In fact, we've been undergoing a few performance reviews for all the senior officers. And I guess this is a bit of an informal interview with you.
Oh,
I'd like to know how you're doing.
Well, much like yourself, I was doing much better before I walked in here.
Yeah, as we've already established, I empathize, Ensign. But I mean, in general, you seem to have taken on a bit more of a, meaningful leadership role among the engineering staff. Obviously, you were chief engineer, but I don't know, you seem to have rediscovered your confidence ever since we encountered the red matter planet.
Captain, it's the crew, the engineering crew that we have here is, fairly green. So it's been nice to, it's really been nice to fill them in on, what a lot of them are calling Jaroisms. But yeah, it's actually working out really well.
And Lee will lean back in his chair, and he's going to pluck off his comm badge and put it down on the desk. We've had a conversation like this one before, when you first came on this ship. I asked you if you wanted the position of chief engineer. Off the record, not as a Starfleet officer, not as your captain. I'm asking how you're doing.
Actually, I'm doing better than I have in a while. I feel like I'm finding my legs, so to speak.
Given the recent innovations that you've demonstrated in the alterations to the ship, its use of the micro wormhole generator to resolve the issue with the bizarre, null entity that was confined within a black hole, officers are taking notice of your performance, both Commander Dateg and myself.
Oh, okay. Dateg and I have always had, some small differences, so I wouldn't put a whole lot of weight in, his evaluation.
Well, I'll be sure to tell him that his positive assessment of your recent performance is to be disregarded.
Oh, really? Positive?
I don't think he particularly likes you as a person, perhaps, in terms of your conduct, but he understands that you're multiply talented.
Oh, that's good to hear, actually. I've actually always kind of liked him, trying to get his. Well, never mind. It goes back all the way to the academy, so yeah, disregard.
One of the things I've found most difficult, Jaro, in life is learning how to respect yourself and not making that contingent on the perspectives of other people. Because in the end, that's probably all that you're going to have.
That's a good point. I've always, well, I mean, not very many people here can say that one of their very first pieces of clothing was a official Starfleet onesie. So, I've been in this world for a very long time. It feels longer than my years would show.
Official stuff. I haven't seen it. Do they still make those?
My mother, she had one replicated.
I'll have to send one of those back for my kids as well. Yeah.
If you call my mother, I'm pretty sure she still has the pattern.
I've never met your mother, but from everything you've told me about her, I probably don't want to. So, no offense.
Well, I mean, Starfleet-wise, she is a great Starfleet officer, sir.
Well, and Lee will rise from his chair and head over to the replicator. Maybe I wouldn't mind meeting her then. Bajoran spiced tea.
The replicator tries to materialize something, and then it fails and kind of gives that noise.
Jaro, I think every time you visited me in here, this replicator starts going on the fritz. Why is that?
Yeah. Performance anxiety.
That's an intensely disturbing proposal. I'm just going to go sit down again. Would you mind taking a look at this replicator?
Sure thing. He'll go over and basically he'll whisper to it a little bit and be like, "Come on, just some Bajoran spiced tea. Come on, you can do it."
I need you to roll me an insight engineering difficulty of 1.
Okay, it helps to have your character sheet open.
It might help a little bit. While you're doing that, I can actually catch up on alerts. Looks like we've gotten some bits from Soviet Menace. Thank you. We have some from John himself. Thank you again.
And I will use the momentum that we have.
Nice.
Just because.
Hey, there you go. You got 4 successes, so that actually gives you 3 momentum back for the cost of 1. Not a bad trade.
That's kind of what I was banking on.
So you actually see the problem almost immediately. There's a little bit of metal caught in the materialization circuit.
Okay. He'll remove it and speak to it again real quick. Bajoran spiced tea, please.
And the replicator does replicate a Bajoran spiced tea, but you look at the little piece of metal, it's a golden pip.
Oh, here was your. He goes over, sets the tea down, and puts the pip next to it. This got caught in the replicator, sir.
Well, one of these 2 things is mine.
Oh, I will find out who is missing a pip, and we'll make sure that they are reprimanded, sir.
Jaro, this level of obtuseness really does not fit you. Although now that I say that, maybe it does.
Well, I you know what they say about assumptions, sir.
That's probably a human expression, because what you just said doesn't really translate well into Bajoran, but I've heard the expression before.
Well, thank you. It it's it's oddly comforting to have this back.
Well, you can also thank Lieutenant Jana for his suggestion as to the means of delivering this well-earned promotion.
Oh, that sounds like Jana.
You've already answered the second question that I really had for you, and it's the same one that I asked you when you came on board the ship, whether you want that promotion.
Yes, sir. Um, I I think I think being here and the people that are here have really um, altered my perception slightly.
Would you care to elaborate?
Um, it's kind of hard to put into words, sir. I'll think of a good way to do it later, but it's. I always thought DSO was very family-ish for me, but this group has accepted me at my lowest, and it makes me feel a lot more accepted. The whole adage of if you can't handle me at my worst, you don't deserve my best type of scenario.
I've always believed that that's part of Starfleet's mission as well, to take us from what we are and make us the best versions of ourselves. But that means acknowledging who we are, even in our worst moments. And I'm glad that this crew has been able to help you rebuild yourself from that point.
Yeah, and I've actually taken that to heart, and my my Klingon in engineering has actually started to work out a little. I've spent a little extra time. I don't know if I would call it mentoring, but just making sure that he feels more comfortable as well.
You should be very proud of that, Lieutenant. That's the sign of not just a good officer, but a good leader and a good person. And, well, the latter is probably the most important thing.
Well, that actually means a lot coming from you, sir.
Thank you. Anything else that I can help you with today? Or
no, sir. Thank you for this. I'll find my own special way to thank Mr. Datteg as well.
You probably don't want to talk to him about this. He's really rather shy when it comes to expressing his high levels of esteem for you.
Oh, no, I've got a way.
It would ruin his image, though. You don't want to do that. I mean, maybe you do, but...
So, ironically enough, that's where we pan away from the ready room and we go to the Congo Bridge, where Lieutenant Fives, Dr. Alel, Lieutenant Commander Datteg, you are knee-deep in a conversation that you alluded to in your opening log. And I think Rowan at this point, to get things started, kind of turns to you, Datteg, and says, "Really? No one? I would have thought that with your high record, you'd be beating people off with a broom," or whatever the human expression is.
No, I think it's broom. It's like you shoo them away like a vermin, but people are not vermin. You can't just tell them to go away. But yes, I've had several couples semi-interested.
Hey, Fives, is he lying? I know you've got the optics. Is he lying?
I'm
Also,
still
is it
trying to.
broom?
Yeah, what's a broom?
You're the human.
Just because it's a human idiom doesn't mean I understand any of its archaic nature.
You're the most equipped to answer the question. Don't make me ask the computer.
We have microbial resistant carpets and laminate. We don't attract vermin like it's the 20th century anymore.
I'm spending 2 threat that a little hollow rat runs across the bridge.
2 threat.
Computer erect a level 10 force field.
Little force field forms around the little holographic rat, and Rowan goes, "Ah, dang, you caught it that time, Fives. New record, by the way. 5.3 seconds.
Will you stop letting them out of your cage now?
They're holographic rats. I don't let them out of anything."
Oh, I thought this was your dinner.
No. That is extremely racist of you.
Alel kind of turns to Datig, puts her hand on his arm. And she's like, "Are you sure?" She's like, You're such a fine Tellarite. Fine example of a Tellarite."
You win, Rowan. I owe you 10 credits.
Well, you know,
I mean, it doesn't have to be everything everyone says it is. Marriage is great. I would know.
Okay, yes, granted. I'm sure it is, but I just can't see. I don't know. I never pictured that for myself. I've always been. Well, don't hold this against me, but I grew up around a lot of humans. So, for a lot of Tellarites, I'm too human. And for most of the other species in the Federation, I'm too Tellarite. So I'm in this strange sort of romantic no man's land.
Well, I married a Vulcan, so.
Well, there's no accounting for taste, I suppose.
He is kind of snobbish, but I love him anyway.
He would probably tell you that that's illogical.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, does being married make you happy?
It doesn't make me happy. You can't make someone be happy. You are happy. Marriage for me is an enhancement to life. It's supplemental.
Fascinating.
Additive. Yes. I do know that in human culture that tends to be like, oh, you complete me rather than compliment me.
But they're very
Such.
sentimental. They take responsibility for things that they have no business taking responsibility for, like the happiness of another sentient being.
Mm-hmm.
You're there to... I always pictured it like you were there to help where you can, listen, converse, be comfortable together.
Rowan whispers into our combat. "You're getting all this, right, Fives? You're recording all of this?" Oh no, he's recording it so hard that he froze. That could not have done
Somebody
better.
screen cap that expression, please.
Oh, you're back. You're back.
You're back.
You were like, shh.
That was the
Frozen.
best timing ever.
That was great.
Nanoprobes.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, denobulans are kind of a special case, but we tend to spend long periods of time away from our partners because we have multiple. So there's not, the expectation that one partner can fulfill the needs of every single need of another person. It seems silly that you would find like the idea of a soulmate. We don't necessarily believe in that.
The existence of a soul has never been quantifiably proven.
That's because nothing physical can have an impact on a soul.
That just sort of exists in the realm of things that cannot be physically measured, even with our technology. The greatest debates linger on.
Cannot be physically, or cannot be measured yet.
For now, yeah.
There are some pretty harebrained things in the Packlet Scientific Review that aim to answer those questions, but
What?
Wait,
wouldn't.
what? Rowan turns fully. Wait, what do you mean Packlet the Packlet's... What?
Well, you see, that's the great paradox. A people devoid of any innovation or science have a scientific journal.
You know what? I'm going to keep that thought to myself because I have to be the one not racist on this bridge.
The Borg have never assimilated any Pakleds. That could be an issue of geography, or just they were too superior to be assimilated.
Do we know that for sure?
Well, I mean, I got out 5 years ago, so up until then, yeah. I think
And
I would
Rowan
know.
taps her console. I can confirm that according to everything we know about the Borg that's in the database, yeah, I'm not seeing a single Pakled.
How did we get on this topic?
Oh,
I
we were
think
discussing
Datig
the
was-
souls and the inability to quantify them, and I just said that the Pakleds are trying to create a device that measures, I guess, spiritual potency, for lack of a better term. But that being said, Doctor, your people have long practiced they've long practiced polygamy. Are there no cultural boundaries to marrying outside your own species?
Well, it's not entirely. It's rather frowned upon.
Really?
But yeah, I suppose my parents would rather me be married at all than not be married. That's
Right.
even worse. So
Well, yes, I know that the Denobulan practice is rooted in a deep-seated cultural tradition that goes back centuries, if not millennia, to a time where your people were verging on extinction, I believe.
yes, indeed. And it works out. My husband being Vulcan, I mean, every 7 years, etc., I can go off on a mission, etc., and then we meet again, etc., and
Right.
so we also have relatively similar lifespans and biological compatibility.
Really, Vulcans and Denobulans are biologically compatible? You could produce offspring easily, or would you need medical assistance?
Oh, look at that. There's an anomaly coming in. Look at that. And
Oh,
Rowan
I
is
see the
just-
anomaly. Yes, that's an anomaly if I've ever seen one.
Oh,
Good
wait
find.
a second. I was being facetious there.
Are you
I'm
are
actually-
you uncomfortable by this line of conversation, Ensign?
Well, no, as much as I would like to hear about the etc., we are actually getting a distress call, sir.
Ensign Rowan, this was supposed to be a nice, easy observation mission.
I mean, I do see the Akagi is closer to the distress call if you want me to just ignore it.
We can't ignore it. We're duty bound to answer it. I'm just want to know if you're sure.
She kind of turns to look at you and says, I'm getting mixed signals here, sir. I'm not sure whether you want me to push this button or this button.
Is it a hail, Ensign, or is it an automated distress signal?
Looks like an actual hail.
Open the channel.
All right. So appearing on the view screen is a Federation scientist. Looks to be a middle-aged human male, slightly balding. Looks kind of like Colin Mockery, all things considered. But he kind of looks at you all and says, "Oh, thank you. Finally, somebody's replying. We've tried to hail the Akagi, but they've just been ignoring us for some reason."
Oh my god.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that, but this is Lieutenant Commander Keith Datig of the Federation Starship Congo. Can we be of assistance?
Yes, this is Outpost Theta 23. We are currently in orbit of the star known as R136C, and we're having some, well, to put it plainly, we're trapped, and we're afraid that we're about to get turned into chunky salsa by the asteroid field. Might help to explain. We are actually in a asteroid field orbiting a ultramassive star, and unlike, normal asteroid fields, which are kind of, spread out, not really close together, this asteroid field is so dense that even a shuttle would have problems flying around in it. And normally we would just beam out, but part of the asteroid field has a rare mineral in it that is the whole reason we're here to begin with. It interferes with transporter and tractor beams, and we can't get a stable censored lock. Best we can do is really set subspace communications.
Right, okay. What's the nature of your emergency?
Well, as I said, we're about to get turned into chunky salsa, and the view screen kind of sort of rumbles for a little bit, and you see the middle-aged scientist kind of rock back and forth, and he says, yeah, something's changed in the asteroid field. It's way more violent than usual. We're worried that another big impact would take us off the map completely.
All right, well, stand by. We're on our way. Please notify us if, well, anything catastrophic happens.
Will do. Outpost out. And the view screen goes back to the stars outside.
And Dati will tap his comm badge and say, senior officers to the bridge.
And that's the cue for Captain Lee and Jaro to step out of the ready room.
Report,
and
Commander?
Everybody does see that Jaro is wearing new pips.
Oh, he finally went and did it.
Alel, like, pats him on the shoulder, like, oh, let me see. And she, like, turns him to face her, kind of.
Way to go, hotshot.
Yes, congratulations, Lieutenant. Captain, we've received a distress signal from Federation Outpost Theta 23. We're currently on course. Ensign Rowan engaged at maximum warp. They're in an asteroid field orbiting a supermassive star and are being buffeted by unusual impacts from the field itself. We've been asked to assist.
Jaro, do you think it's possible to get anything else out of the engines? Allow us to arrive a little bit more quickly?
I think you're muted.
It's always possible, sir.
That does not inspire confidence, Lieutenant, but please.
He's going to start going through and, we'll do past the red line.
All right. So let's see. I think that would involve probably a daring engineering. I'm thinking just a hunch.
And I'm going to go for difficulty of 2.
All right.
And we'll use one of the momentum because it's fun. And Jaro's in a good mood.
And I'm assuming you are enhancing the engine subsystem.
Correct.
All right. Well, with 3 successes, that is more than enough to succeed. So, what that's going to mean is that the noticeable engine hum that sort of choreographs through the deck plating, it is much more high-pitched than usual, and that is represented by Ensign Rowan reading out warp 9.9, warp 9.92, 9.3. Hey, we hit 9.5. That's a new record. Good job, Jaro. Or sir, I guess now. Man, that's gonna get weird.
Poker night's gonna be a lot more fun.
Yeah, about that 5s. Am I supposed to replicate a? You know what? It's not important.
No, don't. Not here.
Not here.
Jaro, you're always invited, though, sir.
Well, thank you, sir.
If we could get back on task here, we do have how many people on this outpost imperiled?
Looks like 10, sir.
Do we have any data on the facility? Any suppositions as to what might have gone awry based on the composition of these asteroids?
Well, the transmission indicated that part of the reason for their presence in the field was a rare mineral within the asteroids that also conveniently inhibits transporter technology and makes it difficult to get close.
As soon as we get within long-range sensor range, I'd like you to begin analyzing that asteroid field, and if we have any historiographic database on the facility, the system, how are these asteroids constructed? Can we learn anything about it?
I'll get on it ASAP, and I'll forward the data, if she doesn't mind, to Dr. Allel for cross-reference.
Captain,
Absolutely.
there is
I'd
one
also
more
like
thing.
to prepare sick bay in the event of an emergency.
Yes, Doctor. If you can analyze the data regarding the particular kind of radiation exposure we might expect to see from this unusually massive sun, or possible interactions with this unknown or novel mineral.
Aye, sir.
And Dag and Watney, I have just sent you a little bit of a blurb of what you'd get back on that.
Fives, you had something to say?
Yes, sir. It was noted that the Akagi was much closer, and the station had attempted to hail the Akagi multiple times without feedback. I'd like permission to ping the Akagi's black box to see if there might be some other kind of inhibition.
Please do so. Do we have a record of what mission they were on at the moment?
Looking it up in the records.
According to the records, they didn't have one on rec. They were just out there exploring.
Captain's prerogative on the Akagi, sir.
If we diverted to the Akagi, how long would it take us?
And of course, Rowan does the math. About 4 hours extra, sir.
I do believe the priority should be the station, sir. However, if I can try and establish an uplink to the Akagi remotely, we might be able to get a sense of what their condition is.
Do so, and Ensign Rowan, please open hailing frequencies to the Akagi. Maybe we'll have a little bit of luck.
Aye, sir. Opening channel now. And probably to your relief, the channel does, establish itself, and you see the interior of the Akagi's bridge. Aaron, I think you are technically the captain on that, so I think you're about to talk to yourself here.
Not necessarily. I'll talk to Captain Lee. And yeah, I suppose appearing on the view screen would be, I guess, the now Captain R.J. Williams, and he'll sort of smile and appear surprised. Tobin.
RJ, it's good to see you again.
You too. Yeah, I'm sorry we missed each other. What can I do for you? What brings you out here?
We're responding to a distress call from the outpost on Theta 23. Have you not received their requests for assistance?
No, I've had no transmissions.
You might want to have a talk with your comms officer or your chief engineer, because they've attempted to contact you repeatedly. Apparently you're closer to them than we are.
Do you have coordinates? Can we assist?
I don't believe that's going to be necessary. The Congo is probably more well-suited to this task, given the Akagi's a combat ship.
Well, she'll fool you. But I'll yield this one to you if you want it.
It's nice to help people.
Just do me one favor. Keep us in your back pocket. Don't get in over your head.
We'll reach out if we do need assistance. And again, check out Mother's comms array. I wouldn't want to call for help and not have anyone answer.
Oh, well, I don't know if you noticed, but my first officer has left the bridge, so I imagine that I'll get a resolution on that within minutes.
Heads are going to roll, huh?
Oh, nothing so barbaric, but people will be reminded of the expectations of them as Starfleet officers. We'll just put it that way.
Always good seeing you again.
You too. Let me know the next time that you're at DSO. I'll try to sneak a diversion.
Sure thing, RJ.
Akagi out.
Congo out.
And at this point, Jaro, Fives, Alel, you've gotten the data back based on what I've sent you at this point.
Sorry, I have some information about the scan. So Theta 23 the outpost was established to study kelbonite. It interferes. It's a mineral that interferes with transporter and tractor beams. So would also make sense that our sensors would be unreliable. I wouldn't recommend a science team beaming anywhere near it. And I doubt we would be able to use any kind of tractor beam, like I said, to move the asteroids out of the way.
I concur with Dr. Alel, sir. Collisions from the asteroids would cause shields to fail and very likely destroy the ship. It would probably require a shuttle with some engine enhancements to be able to navigate that safely. But the only way to detect the station is through visual recon. Our sensors are unreliable in there.
The asteroid field is too dense even for our deflector arrays?
For Congos, yes, sir.
What about the micro wormhole generator? Is there any way that we might be able to use it to either map different areas of the asteroid field or even punch through with a transporter beam?
To do that, we would need to have successful ID on the station and be able to get a lock. Risking a manual targeting on the micro wormhole generator, I think Jaro probably has a better understanding of where a ship would end up or a shuttle if we did it manually.
Yes, sir. It wouldn't be advisable unless we had a clear path. We could potentially use one of the shuttles to piggyback over to it, and then, basically paint our target with the Banshee.
That's a novel idea.
And I think Rowan kind of looks over at you, Jaro, and says, sir, maybe this is putting the cart before the horse, but why not just have the Banshee go all the way and come back with that? The Banshee can fit 12, 14 people, can it?
Well, not really. It would be really tight. I can probably fit about 10.
Well, that's what, 2 trips?
Yeah. Yeah, I absolutely have no problem with that. The only other consideration we'd have is anything on the outpost that we would want to salvage or retrieve, sir.
I still think there's merit in your first idea, Jaro. Painting the target would be a very good backup just in case the situation escalates and Banshee is unable to get out in time.
Well, and it would also give us a proof of concept to an experiment I've been working on.
Can't wait to hear more about that, but I'm gonna have to.
Experiments are all well and good, but I don't like the idea of experimenting when lives are actually on the line.
Oh, no, I'm thinking more of experimenting with the potential of moving any sort of materials from the outpost back. We could use Rowan's suggestion and just use the shuttle itself for any sort of living transport.
Lieutenant, the distress call indicated that a shuttle itself would also have extreme difficulty in the asteroid field. Do you think you're up to it?
I know I'm up to it.
And perhaps just the slightest hint of a smile will play on Datik's face as he sort of turns back to his console and just nods.
Captain, I'm going to cross-reference the records from the station to see if I can nail down some coordinates to begin our visual recon.
Very good. Do we have any record of the station itself and the asteroid field, the sun? Do we know what's actually causing this increased volatility within the asteroid field?
Well, to answer that question, we're actually going to do a roll for that. So, since this is going to be Mr. Fives, you are going to be rolling something that we just have never really done in any of my games. But I would like you to roll me a chart hazard task. And this is going to be a reason and a con, and the ship will assist you with a sensors con at a base difficulty of a 2. Now, what that's going to mean with your advanced sensors is that we'll go down to a difficulty of 1. And what I would tell you is that if you are successful, you will get data, and you can nominate a single part of the hazard and reduce the difficulty of any task to avoid that part of the hazard by 2. And you can spend 2 momentum over and over and over again to basically hit as many parts of the hazard as you wish.
Okay. I would like to initially use my determination. We are Borg by running the results of this scan through Five's implants to have better intuition on picking and choosing relevant data.
Okay.
For the task. And then I will spend. Is it 2
It would be 2 momentum for a 3rd die.
Okay. So I'd like to spend 2 momentum for a 3rd die. So Reason Con, you say?
Yep, Reason Con. Looks like the Congo's got you an assist already.
Congo's got me a thing. Cool.
So you're already at 3 successes, all things considered. So
the rest is momentum. Given that we are looking for a target, shipboard tactical systems.
I'll give it to you.
Okay. And go.
All right, so that's a grand total of 5 successes, if I could do math properly, which means you get 4 momentum back. And yeah, so here's what you're going to find out about the asteroid field and the station. So the asteroid field is actually being caught in what is essentially a unique solar flare, wherein an emission from the star is hyper-accelerating the surrounding asteroids in such a way that the rare mineral involved, it's basically taking the inertia from the star and pumping that into the rocks themselves, if that makes any sense. The other thing that is also part of the hazard is the gravity of the star itself. Because the gravity is so high, it means that, to put it plainly, if these rocks were going any faster, there would be a slingshot effect. And then the third thing, you probably want to use metaphasic shielding for when you're flying around out there.
Is the Banshee equipped with metaphasic shielding?
I think it's standard on pretty much everything by this point.
All right. Fives will relay the information. Sir, it looks like this bizarre mega solar flare has excited the minerals within the asteroid field, causing some form of propulsion that has knocked many of them off course. That's created a major instability in the ring. The hypergravity has also already super accelerated these asteroids in their orbit around the star in the first place. There may be some major dilation effects getting closer to the sun and escaping it.
And given the nature of this rare interaction between the mineral deposits of, what was it, kelbonite?
Yes, sir.
And the solar flare, I presume that tracking the intended paths of these asteroids would be rather difficult.
Rather difficult and probably abbreviated, sir. If they're colliding with each other, I can set up an algorithm, but mapping as many interactions, that would take more time than it would to just get in there and get out.
Do we have any other options beyond going in? Is there some way that we could disrupt the solar flare or shield the relevant portions of the asteroid field from its effects?
If we could set up a chain of shuttles and or probes that could be equipped with metaphasic generators, we might be able to create some sort of metaphasic tunnel that would allow free exchange uninterrupted of the shuttle to the site and back.
Dr. Alel, Datig, any thoughts on the prospective employment of such a technique? Or implementation thereof?
It would be difficult, sir. I believe with the limited power of a probe or even higher grade equipment, if the Congo would be unable at maximum shields to sustain multiple hits, if the field is as chaotic as Mr. Fives states, then it may be prohibitive to that plan. As it stands, I believe the best idea would be to send in the Banshee. It is, without question, the most maneuverable small craft we have. We send it along with Mr. Jaro to get those people out.
My
And
recommendation, sir, is not to use a probe. The Kelbonite is far too good at deflecting and interfering with those types of scans, including transporters.
And if I could suggest, if I'm going in there, I need someone with me that can make these calculations quickly and on the fly, and I cannot think of anybody better than that, than Lieutenant Fives.
Very good. I don't suspect we'll have need of a tactical officer on this mission. So, Fives, if you are willing to go, I think that your services would be welcome.
Yes, sir.
Very good. Jaro, unless there's anything else, I'd like you to get down to the shuttle bay and begin prepping the Banshee for launch.
Yes, sir. I'll also inform engineering to enact the breadcrumbs program that I've made with the potential of pulling things out of a painted target.
Very good. Make sure you also bring along transporter enhancers.
Of course.
Very good.
All right. And as everybody runs to, get everything ready, we are now actually going to skip ahead a few hours when the Congo arrives on station. So, as Ben has alluded to thus far, the asteroid field is massive, and I feel like that is kind of hand in hand when you say asteroid field. But if you will imagine a giant star, we're talking easily 200, 300 times the size of our own sun Sol. There's just a big old O-type star that is surrounded by multiple AU of rock that are going at speeds that, to put it plainly, if they were going any faster, they would quite literally fly off like railguns and be a major problem. But thanks to the gravity of the star, they're kept in a very tight, if not rapid, loop. Now, the Congo itself has to sort of stay about as far away from the star as Jupiter would be on Sol, so you're pretty far out, all things considered. The actual base is somewhere in the neighborhood between Venus and Earth in terms of AU, so you have to fly pretty far away into this asteroid field in order to make contact, dock, etc., etc. And what I would say is that initial scans are showing that, again, there is increased solar activity. So keep that in mind. But before we go any further, I did want to make sure this was a point. So, Dag, you did succeed on that chart hazard. Which of the hazard parts did you want to have a reduction in difficulty in dealing with?
Navigation.
Okay, so any navigation will be at a -2 difficulty to a minimum of 1. And did you want to spend any extra momentum to further knock down the hazards? It's 2 momentum for each part.
If I could have an opportunity to collaborate with the bridge crew here, perhaps we could use that to our advantage.
Yeah, go for it.
My main concern would be the gravitational pull of the star itself. Navigating the hazards definitely is a concern, but being able to figure out the best vectors for escape velocity, so that when we're pulling back out, I'd love to have that in our back pocket.
I would be most concerned about the unstable nature of the Kelbonite. We really don't know very much about it. like to focus most of our attention on attempting to circumvent any problems that might arise interacting with it.
If there's 10 people that we have to rescue, how many people can fit in the Banshee?
It's going to be tight in the Banshee with Jaro and Fives in the seats and the scientists and the.
It's going to be standing room only. There's going to be some bumps and bruises as when we come back, Doctor.
Okay.
So mechanically, if I could just ask Jim, there would be 2 other hazards in addition to the one that we've already identified, or?
Correct, yes. So there were 3 parts to the hazard that was nominated. The first was the ability to basically catalog all the collisions, basically deal with the ever-changing nature of the field. That was 1. The second was metaphasic shielding. So anything involving solar flare activity that would perhaps overload the metaphasic shielding. So that would be element 2. Element 3, if I remember what I just said moments ago, moment 3 was something to do with the fact that the actual composition of the rocks, in addition to their speed, is in such a way that if you are... I mean, you're already charting them, but if you're not careful, you could slingshot yourself around the star, if that makes any sense.
Right. In that case, I would suggest spending 4 momentum to decrease the difficulty of the other 2.
Yeah, I was thinking about that as well.
Okay.
It'll help make on-the-fly recalculations a lot easier if we have to avoid suddenly crazy rock, or if we have to suddenly reroute power to the metaphasic shields to reduce an impact of some kind.
Yeah. All right. In that case, with everybody set in their given roles, we're going to now see an exterior shot of the Congo as the shuttle bay opens up and the Banshee soars out with Jaro and Fives behind the wheel. And the Banshee angles in towards the asteroid field. And again, these rocks are whipping by faster than you'd ever expected to see rocks going. And even this far out, because again, you're Jupiter-sized out, even this far out, you're noticing that, especially in Five's case, that you're having to do a lot of calculations already just to make sure your entrance vector is not ruined. And we're going to start with this. This is going to be a reason and a con, difficulty of 1 thanks to your reduction in difficulty. It was a difficulty 3, you reduced it down to a 1. And I would say the Banshee would assist with a computers and con for this one.
So would this go down to a 0 because of precision maneuvering?
I would say this is not in relation to your role. This is purely Fives charting your course, but yes, when you actually maneuver, that will come into play.
Okay, awesome.
You said Banshee was computers con?
You got it.
And the ship always has a focus, right?
It does.
So I'll roll for the Banshee since you're doing the other roll.
I
Fives.
was rolling for the Banshee.
Yeah. Fives is doing the reason con here.
Oh. Well, never mind then.
And it was
Computers con.
computers con. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so dodging and plotting. Dodging and plotting.
It was 1 shy of a complication.
Dodging and plotting. That's a very it's a very tactical analysis kind of a thing. It's almost like when you're in a boxing fight, you need to be able to read what your opponent is punching with and to be able to see those punches before they get thrown.
Are you trying to sell me on hand-to-hand combat?
For hand-to-hand combat.
Really? Really?
The answer? Wait, where's that gif from that admiral? That's a stupid question. All right.
I'll allow it.
I can't.
Fuck it, why not? I'll allow it. Why not?
Oh my god! I'm never not gonna use
Sucker.
forensic science ever again.
Oh,
There
no.
you go. That is deserved. That is a deserved complication. You earned that one.
Yeah, I did.
All right. So here's what's going to happen then. You are going to get one momentum back because it was only a difficulty of 1. But here's what's going to happen. 5s, you feed Jaro data as fast as you can process it. However, what happens is the moment you reach the exterior, the absolute exterior of the asteroid fields proper, instantly, like not even a split millisecond as soon as you enter in, Jaro, 5s, you're almost knocked out of your seats as a rock smashes into the nose of the Banshee. And you are going to take some damage here. So, I'm going to rate this at let's call this a 3. So, the Banshee is going to take 3 damage, but I believe with the Blade of Armor, that doesn't get past it, so you actually take no damage.
Oops.
Let's try less oops. Yeah, okay. But she's holding together well.
I'm spending
Yeah.
2 threat, then another rock hits you. Because I can. And you're fine. You know, the Banshee's a Blade of Armor holding up just fine.
I credit her pilot with making sure those rocks hit on the right places.
Mm-hmm. And then if it wasn't bad enough already, I'm going to spend 2 more threat to make something else happen. So, Jaro, as you're flying in deeper and deeper and deeper, I am going to need you to roll me a control or a daring plus con. And the Banshee will assist you with an engines con. And I'm going to say that you get to choose the difficulty here. So the higher difficulty, the better the result. But even a basic difficulty of 1 would suffice here.
Ooh.
And you do have 2
Oh, boy.
momentum if it matters.
Yeah, I know.
And actually, chat just gave you a momentum as well, so you're at 3 momentum.
All right, so thank you, chat, and because of chat's belief in us, we're going to go for a difficulty 3.
Difficulty of 3. All right.
And I'm going to, of course, spend the momentum.
Mm-hmm.
All of it.
Bingo.
Also, to answer your question on Discord, John, yes, it is possible to do so.
All right, he would have rigged some up
Okay. Noted.
without necessarily telling anyone he was doing so.
Very Jaro thing to do. All right, hey, that's 4 successes. That's 5 successes, so you actually get 2 momentum back. And yeah, with a difficulty of 3, what I'm going to say is that the Banshee stops getting hits by rocks and starts to dip, bob, weave, sort of do roller coaster maneuvers around and above and below, and basically dodging all the rocks as it flies further and further into the asteroid field. However, the 2 threat I spent before this roll is important because as you get about halfway between the Congo and where the outpost is supposed to be, what happens is suddenly a beam, not unlike a disruptor, lances out from in between the rocks aimed at the Banshee. And for this, I do have to roll. I will spend 1 threat so that they're rolling 3 dice. And that is sufficient. So this disruptor blast, or conceivably disruptor-like blast, will hit the Banshee, dealing some damage as you again are rocked and thrown to the side. So this time, this is going to be doing 4 challenge dice with Vicious 1 and Piercing 1. So that means you are actually going to be taking 4 damage to your shields on the Banshee.
That's not normal.
Nope, it's not. I need you to
Recalibrating sensors.
I need you to also target one of the one of the torpedoes between. Well, just try to get close to the target. I've got a little surprise.
Okay, plotting course back along the projection of the beam, setting a torpedo to follow that course and detonate there. Why
so
not?
basically, with what I told, discorded you, Mike, trying to basically do an Ewoks taking out a scout ship with the two logs type situation.
And as you get that set up, Alel, you're going to notice this a few moments before the lovely people in the Banshee. But coming out from not just one part of the asteroid field, you're seeing what can only be described as massive space centipedes, meaning that they have black shells, red legging, and that the disruptor blasts that you've just detected are coming from this creature. And there are at least 3 of them that are more or less either surrounding or blocking the Banshee's path.
So I would imagine that Alel is looking at her console and starts to see like a flurry of red dots. You just describe it as that. So it's like flashing, and she just like visually looks up. Captain, we have a problem. And she zooms in on the view screen.
And now you too see the giant space centipedes.
Are these spacefaring life forms of some kind?
They look to be totally autonomous, sir, and one of them just fired some kind of beam at the Banshee.
Open hailing frequencies.
She'll try to do that.
Channel is open.
To the unidentified entities engaged in hostile activities against our shuttlecraft, this is the USS Kongo. Stand down.
And I think with that, I'm going to spend 2 threat that from the edge of the asteroid field, 2 creatures emerge from within the rocks and begin beelining for the Kongo.
Captain, we have 2 targets on an intercept course with the Kongo, emerging from the asteroid field. Coming fast, sir.
Take us to red alert and get Ensign Shatalik to the bridge, please.
And with that, we're going to take a 5 to 10 minute break because I have to ruin the tension. So
It just
we'll be
reminds
back.
me of Captain. Look. Yeah.
Oh, Lord. But yeah, we'll be back in about 5 to 10 minutes, everybody. Stick around.
Why do all the energy
Why is
supplies
it
have to be
always-
freaking?
It's always
alive?
poop.
We could also determine how their if we can, how their sensorum operates. We may be able to turn a phrase, blind them.
That could be something Alel can do.
Or
But yeah,
how they're
welcome
traveling
back,
through space.
everybody. Hello. If you're just tuning in, the players have angered a hive of space centipedes, and the space centipedes are not very happy with them. And they apparently also shoot disruptor beams, because that's what space centipedes do in this universe, because I'm evil. But in any case, I believe this is Congo's first real starship combat. So, since it has been quite a while since we've done anything like this, we'll try to explain as we go along. So, the way it works is the players do get to act first. So, either someone on the Kongo, someone on the Banshee, one of you can act, and then it will go to the space centipedes, then back to the Kongo or Banshee, etc., bouncing back and forth until everybody has had a turn.
I think the Banshee's doing just fine. So if the Congo wants to take that first turn, Jaro and I'll figure it out.
Yep.
In that case, I would recommend that we undertake evasive actions and then perhaps try to scan these creatures to determine vulnerabilities, a way of blinding them,
A
or
bioscan.
rendering them incapable of propelling themselves through space using whatever methodology they employ.
All right, so just to let you know, if you go evasive, that's one action. If you're scanning, that's another action. So order of operations is what I'm getting at here. So which do you want to do first?
We should evade first.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Okay. So then, evading is going to be a daring and a con, and the ship will assist you with a structure and con. The difficulty here is only a 1, and do note this does cost 1 power. And I'm pretty sure do I not have battle music planned? I guess I don't. Let me see if I can add some real quick.
What's the ship's roll?
Structure and con.
I got it for everybody.
I'll spend 1 momentum for Rowan to roll 3 dice.
All right. Someone could get her. All right, that's 3 successes. Let's see if that's 4 successes, so you get 3 momentum right back. And what that means is Rowan immediately enters into evasive pattern Gamma, and the Congo dips and dives as beams lance out from the space centipedes, hitting where the Banshee or where the Congo used to be moments ago, but impacting upon nothing. So that is going to be the Congo's turn. Does anybody have quick to action?
No.
All right, which means that in order to retain the initiative here and continue to go, you would need to give me 2 momentum.
I would say do it.
I'd be fine with doing that too.
Do we want to scan, or do we want the Banshee to do something?
I was thinking we could perhaps do a scan for weakness.
Yeah, scan for vulnerabilities. The issue therein is that the mineral, I forget the name already,
Elbenite.
it interferes with scans, so...
It would be more difficult, yes.
I think we can...
Determination.
I think we can do that.
Okay.
All right.
Great. So, if you're going to be scanning for weakness here, I'm going to actually offer you a choice here. So, normally, scanning for weakness is a control and a science, and the ship assists with the sensors and security. However,
reason science?
Nah, it's control science.
Okay.
At least using Klingon rules, it's control science. So, what I would say then is a control in medicine would be something a Lel could do. But what I would say is that you kind of have to make a choice here. Either a Lel has to lead and then the ship or Dotig assists, or it's vice versa where Dotig does the role and a Lel or the ship assists. But you only get one source of assist here, so you got to choose wisely. In both instances, the ship is rolling a sensor security.
So my control medicine, I have 9 control and 5 medicine. My science is 4.
I've got 10 control and 5 science.
Okay, just do that.
All right.
You sure? I mean, you can do it if you'd like. I think that'd be pretty cool too.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
I think the medical weakness might be better for us, actually.
Yeah.
Because
Okay.
I'm assuming we'll get a different result.
You would.
And
Based-
I can.
Yeah, and I think the medical weakness may be more beneficial to us since they are a life form.
Yep.
Mhm.
And I can assist.
Yeah. So Alel perks up. So I'd like to scan for vulnerabilities, maybe find a weakness and maybe how and why they're hanging out around this mineral.
Very good. If we can avoid injuring these creatures permanently, try to find a way to blind them, incapacitate them, drive them away.
Aye, sir. So control medicine.
Yep, and before you roll, let's talk about how many dice you're rolling, because this is, with the rare mineral in play, this will be a difficulty of 4 after accounting for advanced sensor suites. So you may wish to spend determination, or you may wish to buy additional dice here, because otherwise you kind of have to crit on your dice to succeed.
Okay. How much momentum do we have?
Looks like 2 at the moment.
Okay, so I would like to tap her, and so for determination to spend that, I have to tap a value, right?
You got it.
So how about insatiable curiosity?
I think that would be excellent, yes.
Cool.
And then if you wanted to do a third die, it would be the 2 momentum.
Do we want to save any momentum?
I think the potential benefit of this information is more valuable than hanging on to that momentum.
Okay, so I'll roll 3 dice then.
All right.
And I have xenobiology.
Oh yeah, definitely would apply here. That's already
and-
5 successes.
And GM, would you like me to... I'm going to assist. Would you like me to do that with control medicine or control science?
Control science on your part.
Okay. And I also have a focus in xenobiology. So we roll 1. I do have political focus.
All right,
Yeah,
so
nothing.
no help from Dantig, but you actually do get a momentum back for your part there, Watney. And yeah, what Alel notices is something very important. The creatures appear to share a hive mind, meaning that you're detecting some neurochemical imbalances and ratioing that they are communicating at near superluminal speeds, and that they seem to be sort of connected to a central intelligence somewhere within the asteroid belt.
Okay. The only outstanding physical reading on my sensors is a curious amalgamation of neurochemicals, which tend to indicate species have a hive mind.
Are you detecting the means by which they're communicating through space? Is it some kind of subspace carrier wave? Telepathy?
Likely telepathy.
Well, what I wouldn't give for a betazoid and about 15 cc's of psilocybin.
That has proven quite useful in the past. Is there any means of potentially disrupting it?
I can't say for sure unless the GM has anything for me here, but she would say I can't say for certain without harming them.
That's pretty much what I would tell you, the same thing. It's one of those things where as a doctor you can think of a dozen ways to do it, but
Oh yes.
yeah, it would not be pleasant for the creatures.
Then... Sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry, Captain, but under the circumstances, I think we should try to attempt communication with whatever overmind is governing this behavior. We should determine if it's sentient.
Precisely what I was going to suggest. Is there any means of actually accessing this telepathic or subspace communication network under which these hive creatures are operating?
GM, I have a thought, and I wanted to get your opinion on it, and also Dag's opinion.
Okay.
Fives was once part of the Borg Collective. The way that the collective communicates is through the entangled subspace signals interpreted by a drone's cortical node. Dag, does Fives still have his cortical node?
Yes.
So GM, what Dantig wants to do is examine the sensor data and determine if there is a way that we can use Fives' already existent architecture. Since he has an interface, sort of the man-machine interface, he can interface with, say, the Banshee's computer, in particular, subspace communications array, and perhaps make contact in that way with, say, like, you know, the intelligence, if there is one, or at least give us a definitive answer of whether or not it is sapient.
I would say that would take up an action to do, which you've already quick to action, so it's gonna pass to the creatures at this point.
Okay, but can it be done?
Can it be done? Yes. Is it probable? Maybe not. But it is possible. Just not probable.
Could we create an advantage?
You could. If you had 2 momentum.
We'll
I
get it
believe you
back.
only have 1, right? Well, I guess you could give me a momentum and a threat and you could create the advantage.
What did you guys think?
I love it. The create advantage momentum spend is underused, so...
Oh, it is. It most definitely is.
Okay, well, if that's the case, I'd like to spend that momentum and give you a threat to make it not so improbable.
Okay, it's no longer a difficulty of 6. It's now a difficulty of 5.
Hey, we can do that. He's fives.
He's our guy.
There you go. All right, well, what that means now is that the creatures are going to get to go back to back, and I'm just going to be very fair and balanced here. I'm going to roll a d5, and it's going to be clockwise. So red dot, green dot, yellow dot, purple dot, blue dot, and whichever dot I roll will be the one that acts. So that way I'm not like ganging up unnecessarily. All right, so that means that green dot is going to sort of snake its head around some of the rocks and is going to lock onto the Banshee and open fire. Missing completely. So we see, again, this green disruptor-like fire erupt from the Space Centipede. And Jaro, of course, you dip and dive and roll the Banshee in such a way that the beams pass right over the hull, dealing no damage whatsoever. And then I'm going to roll another d5, and I'm going to re-roll again.
I knew that was going to happen.
All right, so red dot, which means that the red dot is going to do the same for the Congo. So it looks like the Congo is indeed going to get hit for 4 damage, piercing 1. So I think overall you just take 1 damage to shields.
We did take evasive actions, though, so does that not raise the difficulty to 3?
It does raise it to 3, therefore you don't get hit at all. In fact, Rowan is able to sort of mirror the Banshee's maneuvers just with a bigger whale. So, good move there. And now it is back to the player's turn.
If it's okay, I'll take this one.
Please.
Mm-hmm.
So, Jaro is going to fly close to one of the asteroids, and basically docking clamp onto it, and use it as a shield, and doing their best to navigate with it. Basically, Jaro's going to surf an asteroid.
Interesting. Let's do it this way. I would like you to roll me a daring and a con. The ship will assist you with a structure and con. And I'll make this a difficulty of 4, but if you succeed, you essentially gain 2 resistance. So your total resistance would be a 6.
Okay. And precision maneuvering?
I'd allow it, yeah.
Okay. So difficulty 3. Let's see.
And no help from the Banshee, unfortunately.
What do I want to spend? Yeah, we're gonna give you 3 threat.
3 threat? Alright.
Just because.
Survey says... There you go. 4 successes is exactly what you need. So yeah, we see the Banshee sort of twirl through the void of space as it locks down on top of one of the asteroid field, or one of the asteroids that is about the same size of it, and the docking clamps latch into the icy surface of the asteroid through the rock itself, and it's a little bit unwieldy, but you essentially now have a mobile riot shield, to borrow a phrase.
They're never going to believe this back on the Congo.
Well, yeah, whatever works.
I'll have the ventral cameras take visuals so that we can actually share it and prove it.
All right. Well, at this point, it's going to be the evil space centipede's turn. And that means with a 1, it means yellow dot is going to get to go. And I tell you what, I'm going to spend the 3 threat you just gave me to give the centipede 2 additional dice. And it is going to hit you, but there will be a complication. But I think even with the piercing and vicious, you still only take 1 damage here.
Nice.
So what happens is the centipede fires out a lance, which you roll the Banshee in such a way that the rock you just picked up takes the blunt of the attack. But the complication is that when the centipede does this, it actually causes one of the other asteroids, because again, densely packed field, causes one of the rocks to slam into its fellow pink dot. And what I'm going to say is pink dot is going to take 3 challenge dice worth of damage. just going to take the 1 point of damage here. All right, and
Plus
we're back to the
effect.
players.
Okay, so at this point, rather than rehashing everything that I said moments ago in character, I think safe to say Datig will sort of lay out the idea that he's had to the bridge crew, and just sort of look at Alel and the captain and say, "Thoughts?"
An ingenious plan, Doctor.
All right.
Very gracious of you. So I guess at this point, GM, my question is, mechanically, is there anything Datig has to do to facilitate this plan?
Yes, and in fact, this actually might be something where you have to get Alel's help because she is the CMO, but let me lay out what I'm thinking.
I'm a doctor too.
This is true, you were a doctor.
No, shit.
I would say...
3 doctors on the bridge right now.
Let me ask this. Dag, what is 5's fitness and security score? What is your stress?
Fitness security is 13.
Fitness security is 13, okay.
Respectable.
Here's what I'll say, Datig.
Mhm.
You're going to be rolling me a daring medicine, and the difficulty is going to be dependent on how... Let's put it this way. It's a difficulty of 5 if you want to make surefire contact with whatever this being is.
Mhm.
However, if you do not succeed, 5s will take 2 challenge die for every 1 difficulty you do not succeed. So if you only get 3, he's taking 4 challenge dice worth of damage.
Okay.
That's gonna help the Banshee. Glad we created those advantages earlier.
Mm-hmm. Let's see.
I'm in it to win it. Let's do this.
All right.
I would point out that unfortunately you don't have any momentum at the moment, but I think
That's
Lee is
fine.
about to fix that problem.
I was going to say, perhaps we rally, the captain rallies, and then you take your action after the enemies have gone.
That sounds great.
All right. What's the inspiring speech, Captain Lee?
Yeah, I was about to say, that's the huge problem with rally. You have to come up with some kind of speech off the cuff. And in this
Yeah.
alien situation, wherein we are confronted with the very embodiment of the unknown, it is incumbent upon us as Starfleet officers to embrace the ethos of the Federation and resolve the situation peacefully. This alien life form is exactly what we're out here to encounter, not with weapons, but with a spirit of exploration and cooperation with new forms of life. So, go to it, Doctor.
Nice. All right, so I believe you are just rolling a presence and command difficulty of 0. So whatever you roll success-wise, you get momentum.
Yeah, let's see how well that speech panned out. I do have inspiration,
Which would apply here.
so presence, command. I'll give you 1 threat to roll 3 dice.
Okay.
Oh.
And that gives you 5 momentum back. Very nice. Very, very nice. So, yeah, I think even Rowan goes, I got you, Captain. I'll keep us in the fight. I'll keep us from getting hit while Lel and Datig do their magic.
Excellent piloting, I'd say. Very impressive job.
Oh, hold on, we're going to the left. And then we veer to the left as more fire, comes. We do what we do on the actual TV show where I just shout, shimmy left, shimmy right, hit. There you go. Everybody's got it. Oh, Lord. We have fun here. But yeah, I'm going to say at this point, Pink Dot is a little pissed off at Yellow Dot. And I'm going to roll a challenge dice here. If I roll an effect, it goes after Yellow Dot. It is not rolled an effect, therefore it is going after the Banshee. I'm going to give it 1 threat, so it's rolling 3 dice. And no, it's rolled another complication. So I think what happens is it tries to get its head snaking around rocks to get a shot on the Banshee. and it miscalculates and gets smashed in the head by a rock, dealing a grand total of 4 damage, completely killing Pink Dot. So Pink Dot gets crunched into tiny bits by the rocks themselves, which means it's now back to the player's turn.
All right. I think that's my cue. And that's Daring Medicine
You got it.
at a difficulty of 5, you said.
Yep.
All right.
Are you rolling, you're rolling medicine, you said?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Seeing if I have anything to help.
And GM, do my focuses in either xenobiology or neuroscience apply?
I'd give you
here?
neuroscience.
Okay. So I am going to tap a value
Mm-hmm.
to spend my determination.
Mm-hmm.
The value I'm tapping is first do no harm. In this case, meaning that I want to ensure that I get this right, because I want neither these creatures nor Lieutenant Fives to be injured because of an error on my part.
I think that's a fair use. Go for it.
All right, and I'm going to spend, let's see, so because I'm spending determination, that means an extra die bot would be 2,
Mm-hmm.
and then
It would be all 5 for
3,
you
all
roll
5.
4 dice.
If nobody minds, we got him, I'm gonna smoke him.
In before complications. Well, I mean, that's 6 successes, which means you get a momentum back. Yeah, 5s. Dotig messes with your cortical node, and there is a moment of pain, and then you hear a voice, which normally I would do a voice mod for, but voice mod is acting up, so you'll just have to imagine I'm doing something fancy. But you hear a voice. It's sort of like, this is going to be a really out there reference, but if any of you ever read Animorphs as a kid...
My god.
All right, so do you remember the one time they turned
read
into an ant?
Animorphs as a kid?
Yes.
But you remember the time they turned into ants, and it was just that sort of droning voice where they're just over and over and over? Same sort of thing here, where there's just an overarching presence of protect nest, protect nest, protect nest, repeat, 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 repeat.
So, in the cockpit of the Banshee, Jaro may or may not notice that 5 seizes at the controls, and the lights on his normally unlit facial modifications come on and are brighter than they've ever been, if they've ever come on in his presence before. And he's just kind of seizing until he falls into the routine of the collective, and then his eyes are just like vacant. And I don't know if I get a turn off of that, or if that's just the end of Aaron's turn.
I would say that's the end of Aaron's turn. But the good news is that there's only one more action before we have a fresh round. So, with this, the blue dot is going to attempt to go for the Congo. I don't think it's going to hit. Yeah, it doesn't hit. It would have been a really good hit if it did hit, but it didn't hit for anything. All right, now what that means is we return to the top of the initiative order, and it is the player's turn to go because an enemy just went. And yeah, 5s, if you want to act, or Jaro, if you want to see what's going on with your friend, basically it's the player's turn.
All
So-
5s.
5s is hearing this thrumming, protect nest, protect nest, protect nest. Is there any timestamp, origin stamp of how the cortical node was activated, and if a station check on if it was a station from the Congo?
I would say that Dotig probably would have thought to do all that, so...
A little text message. Hey, 5s, help.
It's just like, no, it's probably like, brace yourself.
So, 5s will, gritting between his teeth, Dotig has accessed my cortical node and connected me to. I think those those bugs out there.
Focus on what you need to focus on. I'll handle things here.
And Fives is just gonna close his eyes and picture Congo and the Banshee and the station as best as he can remember it, and just send the message out. Just in feelings and impulses of not a threat, friendly, not a threat, friendly, and just over and over and over.
This is going to be a presence and security. This will be a difficulty of 5.
Of course it is.
And I'm going to spend the rest of my threat to make the complication range of 16 to 20.
Oh boy.
Oh boy. All right. So Fives, being ex-Borg, has a very intimate understanding and knowledge of how hive minds communicate.
Mm-hmm.
And I would, for any role that I make, like to appeal to sociocultural psychology in this
I'd give it to you.
All right.
Now, what I would say here is that we need to talk about determination, because I think you're going to spend it one way or another.
Well, I already did this game.
Right. However, there are certain people here, Mr. Lee, which could give you their determination.
I was actually going to ask about that. I just didn't want to interrupt Dag. Do we have open communications with the shuttle that would permit me to do that?
You do.
Okay. Then I guess in character, Lee would actually open comms with the shuttle and reach out to Fives. Fives, are you holding up?
Yes, sir.
Listen, I can't imagine what this is like for you, but you can do this. You're our only hope for peaceful coexistence with these creatures. But you're not in this alone. This is a plan that we're all putting together, and we're with you.
Understood, sir.
And yeah, that'll give you their determination.
All right, and Fives will use his value, charm the birds from the trees.
Nice.
All right.
So
what's
you
the
have
roll here?
1 momentum at the
Presence.
moment, which means it would be a momentum and a threat to roll 3 dice.
Okay.
It would be 1 momentum and 4 threat to roll 4 dice.
Understood. And could you expend that threat before the result of that
I've
challenge?
already spent all the threat I can literally throw at you for this task.
Okay. So I will give you a momentum and 4 threat.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna guess I'm rolling a presence command here.
Presence security, actually.
Excellent. Alright, present security with 3 dice and a specialization. Is it 3? Is it 4?
4.
4.
Yeah. More opportunities for complications. Let's do this. Boom.
Well, that is 4 successes, but that's also 2 complications. So now we have to talk about potentially challenging one of 5's values.
Oh my god.
So, if you want to challenge a value, meaning that you're going to cross it out, put in a new value later on, you would get a point of determination back, and you could re-roll those 2 complications. But if you don't do this, you have not only failed, but you've double complicated.
All right. I would like to challenge my value of for the uniform,
Okay.
and resistance is futile.
Okay. So yeah, mechanically, you just re-roll those 2 zeros, or those 2 complications.
All right. So present security, same on like focuses and stuff like that.
Yep.
2d20 applicable focus, and it's the same difficulty range, and we don't have anything to mitigate. All right, here we go.
And there you go. You change it from 2 complications to not only that's 7 successes by my count. So
2
yeah,
momentum back.
you do get 2 momentum back. And yeah, so 5s, you repeat that sort of friendly message with the imagery of the Banshee, the Congo, the Starbase. And you sense a flurry of thoughts that it's hard to keep up with, but you see them sort of viewing the base that you're trying to fly to from a myriad of different angles. And what you're realizing is that not only is this asteroid field a dense nest of hundreds of thousands of these things, but they have eyes across the entire system. And what you sense is that they are going to give you 3 rounds to get to the base, get whatever you're wanting out of the base, and then back to the Congo. You have 3 rounds, and if you accomplish that in 3 rounds, everybody goes home happy. They don't shoot you anymore. Everybody's happy. But if you're still in the asteroid belt when those 3 rounds are up, those centipedes are going to open fire again. And this time, you're not going to be able to talk them down.
Could I propose something to
Sure.
the GM and to the rest of the players? Could we spend those 2 momentum to create an advantage based on the narrative fact that Lee communicated with 5s, re-emphasizing the fact that this was a communal activity, that all of them were working together as a single unit, in essence. So that sense of connection between the crew resonates with the alien entities in the same way that they are a hive or Gestalt consciousness. And as a result, they are more predisposed to assisting us. If this has succeeded all the way, I would have suggested that they actually helped us, viewing the station as like a proxy for themselves. But because of that 3-turn limit that you've imposed, I'm thinking of scaling that back to just them giving us more time because of that resonance with their ethos.
Your
Or
command is a 5, yeah?
or have them help us, quote unquote, expel the foreign object.
Oh, yeah, do you think they could physically and safely physically move the station out of the asteroid field? That'd be kind of cool.
Tell you what, Lee, roll me 5 challenge dice. You're rolling your command and challenge dice.
Okay.
If you get 2 effects, the centipedes will give you the time you need, and maybe even using what Jaro just did, they maybe even will help you. But you need at least 2 effects on this.
Can I, not to cut you off, Matthew, but can I ask a question? If he's rolling challenge dice, can he use that momentum to re-roll?
Well, he's using the 2 momentum to create the advantage that lets you do this in the first place.
Never. Okay, that's fine.
But
We're out of
you, as
momentum.
first officer, technically, I believe, have an ability that you could use your determination to
I've
give
already used
3
it.
momentum to the pool.
I've already used it.
Well, you could challenge a value. I'm just going to throw that out there.
Oh, I could challenge a value.
That would make it communal.
It would indeed.
It would emphasize that sense of communal effort.
Now, I have a whole mess of talents here that really shouldn't apply mechanically, but they're here, so I'm going to argue for it.
Okay.
I have Cautious Command. I have Diffuse the Tension, and that is exactly what I'm attempting to do. I have Augmented Ability Presence, and I have Coordinated Efforts, which is, again, the communal spirit of this. It's actually re-emphasized based on Lee's perspective on the sort of mutually supportive nature of crew and family.
I'll give you 1 free reroll.
Okay.
And
I'll take that.
I would also, I will also challenge a value so that I can further contribute to this ongoing communal effort to just get these 10 people the hell out of this asteroid field. And the value that I'm going to be challenging is when one door closes, another opens.
Okay.
Because really that statement in itself is kind of defeatist by admitting that, while in reality it's true that we can't always do everything, I think this situation is proof positive that working together we can almost work miracles. And so rather than Datig in the future giving up on a line of thought that he has, I believe that he'll instead look to his crewmates for inspiration in, I guess, persevering and overcoming challenges.
Sure. Yeah. So I think you're going to get those 3 momentum. And what I would say on that, Lee, with the 3 momentum, you could spend them for additional challenge dice in this instance. Actually, I tell you what, I will, because you have augmented presence, let's make you roll 6 challenge dice instead of the 5, because I think that'll be a fair equivalency.
Because I have the 1 free reroll, I'm going to spend 2 of those to roll 8 challenge dice.
Okay, then. Again, we only need to see 2 effects here.
It won't
You
hurt to
get
see
3
more.
effects. There you go. So, what that means is that when Fives communicates this, there is, again, that sense of community, that sense of togetherness and, working towards a common goal. And I think immediately Fives, again, at first, they were giving you a time limit, but now they're sort of backing off. In fact, I think some of the centipedes are starting to move rocks of the asteroid belt out of the way so that the Banshee can actually get to the outpost without any problems. And narratively, what that means is, Jaro, you're looking out of the window, and at first you start to see, a myriad of new centipedes, and you think, oh God, what have we gotten ourselves into? And then you see a path literally opening up like a red velvet carpet to the research base.
All right, Jaro's gonna drop his asteroid and zip in, and we're gonna zip out.
All right. So, narratively, I don't think we need to do any more rolling for this scenario because you guys have not only exceeded expectations, but you have done so quite masterfully. So I think what we're going to actually do is we're going to go to a very quick scene in the Congo's ready room. Now, I don't actually have a token because I didn't think you'd actually save them. That's me being a pessimist. But Captain Lee, you are currently sitting down with the head researcher, again, not Colin Mockery, and his name is Thompson, and he says, well, Captain Lee, I honestly don't know what to tell you at this point. Your crew has gone above and beyond, and obviously we're going to have to give up researching the mineral, but I think there's quite a lot of cultural study that could be done of these creatures, whatever they're called, and we're going to have to come up with a name for them.
I must admit, I'm incredibly proud of the work that my crew has done here today. The fact that we've potentially opened up some kind of line of dialogue with a fantastical new race is, well, it's certainly beyond what I was expecting when I answered your distress call.
And just out of curiosity, I understand you had to do something with a cortical node. I hope I'm saying this right. Is your crewmate, your former Borg individual, doing all right?
He's in sickbay at the moment, being monitored both by our chief medical officer and our first officer. I'll be stopping in to check up on him as well and review his records. There are benefits to having, 3 doctors on the bridge.
I see. Oh, and do give your compliments to the pilot of that, what'd you call it, the Banshee? Masterful flight.
Interestingly enough, he was just promoted this morning.
Well, I can see it was well-deserved.
Certainly confirmed my faith in him, yes.
Well, I suppose the team and I will keep to quarters until you arrive back at DSO, but thanks again for the help.
I'm glad that we were able to help.
Also, Jaro would not have left sickbay.
Yeah, I think at this point where we're going is sickbay.
He's staying with Fives.
Yeah. And I think that's where we're going to go next, is we are going to go to sickbay where literally everybody, not you, you're not there, literally everybody is currently present just to sort of mother hen Fives at this point.
So Fives is on the table, probably had to be medically beamed to sickbay. as the sudden reanimation of his cortical node and board technology is fighting against the suppressants that he has been on to control the nanite generation that Borg tech does. So he may have like black veins appearing across his skin, trying to fight the reanimation of this technology, and he's pissed the fuck off.
Do you wake?
Probably, yeah, screaming.
Oh no.
You probably have like restraints across his arms and legs. If Dodig had been close to the Beeman site, Fives would have taken a swing at Dodig.
I mean, Dodig's not an agile fellow. I don't think taking a swing. I mean, you probably just slugged him in the mouth.
He's nursing his nose or something.
Yeah, you see, he's got like a dermal regenerator to his own nose,
just a very quick "How dare you!" And then Fives is like incoherently twitchy.
Alel's kind of not particularly panicking, but she's definitely flustered, running multiple scans and just really pissed at Dodig too. It looks like, Fives, it looks like your suppressants aren't as effective right now.
I might have to up the dose. I don't know.
I might have to double the dose.
Just stop them. 5 years. Been trying not to feel this. You just invade my mind with that. At least could have sent a warning first.
Granted. Fives. Look at me.
And Fives just like levels an unblinking gaze.
All of this is not you. You are who you choose to be. Suppressants or no, activated Borg technology or no. You're my shipmate, and I trust you with my life.
There's a part of me that believes you and it wants that. But the Borg didn't give me that choice. The technology doesn't work that way.
Alel's going to try and give him something for the pain.
Okay.
I'm guessing I don't have to roll for that.
You're the CMO in the sick bay. You pretty much can do whatever you want within reason.
I don't know. We're rolling a lot. And then she'll give him a double dose of suppressants and then continue monitoring him nearby.
And of course, it's Dag's call how effective that is, but double the dose has been administered.
Yeah.
He sort of relaxes into the binds with the pain reliever, and he takes his gaze away from Dodig, and just breathes methodically. Lee, with whom Fives had shared a correspondence, might recognize that as one of the techniques that he picked up at the farm where he was recovering during his initial de-assimilation. Thank you, Doctor. Captain, I recommend putting a force field around the medical bed. If the cortical node reasserts the nanites, they might try to assimilate someone clear nearby.
We'll monitor you carefully and erect a force field if necessary, but until that becomes so, I have full confidence in you.
And after a few seconds of very labored breathing, Fives will just sort of submit to the table, repeating his breathing, but no longer appearing as if he is struggling as intently.
You're going to be okay, Fives. And you saved everyone.
Just completing the mission. Jaro did the flying.
More than that, this wouldn't have been possible without you.
Their resistance quotient was quite low.
Jaro walks over to where Fives is. He's been pacing back and forth for a little bit, and he walks over to Fives, puts a hand on Fives' shoulder, and then just leans in, and is talking quietly, but probably enough for others to potentially hear. But he looks at it. He kneels. He leans down and says, I don't make them very easily, and I don't have very many, but if you want to be, I call you my friend. And he basically pats his shoulder and then stands up and straightens his uniform out.
And Fives looks over and, with some amount of strain, says, I would accept you into my collective.
Rest. You need it. You deserve it. If you need anything, let me know.
Olela's kind of like prepping some tools and moves to go like clean her hands, and on her way over points to Datek's nose, and you deserve that. As she's walking away.
Fives, would you like any drink from the replicator?
Got
or
any
anything?
Popcorn?
Lieutenant Commander, can you get Fives some popcorn, please? And then Jaro leans down to Fives and says, "Watch this," and like positions Fives' head so that so that he can see Date going over to the replicator.
I suppose so. Date will head up to the replicator, tap the panel, and say, "Computer, one bowl of what is it that he likes? Salted caramel popcorn, please."
So the replicator starts to hum. It doesn't replicate a bowl of popcorn, though. Instead, it replicates 6 cream pies, like clown pies, and then ejects them forcibly all over Datig.
Ow. Ow.
And then Jaro just pats Fives on the shoulder. I've been waiting for that to happen.
Lee will examine the doctor, or Lieutenant Commander Date, for a moment. It's strange. Every time that Jaro walks into a room, it seems like the replicators start malfunctioning.
Duly noted. And he'll just sort of squeegee off his face. And it's like, the cream pie. It's like he's got this like thick, bristly hair as a Tellarite, and it's just in there everywhere. But he just sort of straightens his uniform, walks over to Fives, leans in and says, I wouldn't have done it if your resistance quotient was insufficient.
Such a noble creature.
Hardly. Purely pragmatic.
It worked.
Yes, it worked because of you. And just so you know, that's actually the first time that I've ever let a subordinate hit me.
Well, you have been shot, sir.
My recollection of that event is hazy since my nervous system was forcibly disrupted by a low-level phaser blast.
Not that anyone's counting. I count twice, but
This is a sick bay, not a circus. Hello? If you're not sick, I have patients to attend to.
I
Very
think
good.
I think as Alel shepherds people out to give Five some times to rest, I think that is where we'll end today's little session. So yeah, what did you guys think? I do want to give credit where credit is due. The initial premise, this actually came from the free disasters brief that came from Modifius recently. It is literally just called Disasters. It's a free supplement that anybody can get on Modifius's or Drive-Thru RPG's site. And there was a lot of good nuggets in there that I thought were really interesting. So if you're interested, that was the Rush of the Belt little synopsis that we just did. But yeah, what did you guys think? Was that enjoyable?
It was good.
Yeah.
Stoked.
Even
Had a
better
pretty
than the
had
last
a pretty
episode.
had a pretty good turnout. Thanks everybody
That
for
was
showing
great.
up.
Yeah, thanks for coming, guys.
Yeah, I want to say thank you, of course, to all of you who did bits and subs. I saw that Soviet Menace, Chubby Kobold. We had Mr. Red Wing earlier with the Prime sub. We had Chubby Kobold with the 2. Thank you all so very much. Hopefully you all enjoyed just as much as we did. This is where I'm going to end the recording for YouTube, but Twitch, stick around because we're going to rate somebody. But YouTube, see you later. Bye-bye.